Christmas, let your heart be light. Next year all our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on our troubles will be miles away. Once again as in olden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now. Here we are as in golden days, happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us will be near to us once more. Through the years we all will be together, amen, if the fates allow. Hang a shining star upon the highest bough, and have yourself a merry little Christmas now.
Thank you, James, so very much to get us in the holiday spirit and with a beautiful rendition of Have Yourself a Merry Little Christmas. I know that's something that you personally wanted to sing, so thank you for that.
Like my favorite Christmas song.
Yeah, it's great. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much. I know we're going to have one more wonderful music from you throughout our service this morning. And it's such a joy and a pleasure always to have you here with us at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles, but specifically today as we kick off this holiday season. Thank you. Look forward to seeing you in a bit.
Me too.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Rev Dr Keith Cox, and I am the spiritual leader for the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. And welcome to our Sunday morning celebration service. It's a joy and a pleasure to have you with us today as we celebrate this day, Sunday, December 13th, in the year 2020. If you're joining us through Facebook Live or later on YouTube, it's a joy and an honor to have you be a part of the cosmic field known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. For those of you that are joining us on Zoom, it's an honor and privilege as well to have you with us this morning. And as the animated GIF on the screen shows us, as the light of life enters us, the source of all life, we have the opportunity and I believe the responsibility spiritually to share that back out into the universe. And so in this Sanskrit expression of namaste, the woman is sharing that on the screen. I say to you this morning, namaste, which means the divine, the source of all life, the thing that we call God as well. In me honors and acknowledges that which is within you, the God, the source, the light of all life. And I invite you to do the same this morning as you place your hands together and not only feel the power and the presence that exists within us in our heart, that comes into us as light, as you'll hear us reference in a moment in the ritual of calling in the light, but then to pass that back on and to stay in the flow of good, of life, of the thing itself, in life itself. We're a community that has been coming together for over 30 years here in the land of Los Angeles, California, known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, formerly known as the Los Angeles Church of Religious Science. As a metaphysical New Thought community, we welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, for we stand with you. We want you to know that you, as an individualized expression of life itself, are safe and welcome and indeed celebrated here. So this morning, as we come together in this technological format, I invite you to not only take a moment to honor yourself, but let's honor each other and welcome each other by affirming, as our founding minister, Dr. David Walker, used to say each and every Sunday morning. Please say with me the words that are on the screen. We welcome one and we welcome all. As a community, we have come together, as I said, for over 30 years, now 9 months in a virtual setting. And we come together as a community known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, as a teaching community. And what we teach here is the philosophy and faith and way of life known as the science of mind, also known as religious science primarily. We also look at other new thought or wise wisdom teachings from the millennia of life itself, with the focus that there's only one power that exists in the universe. It matters not what we call it source, the thing itself, God, the divine. We also call it you and me because we each individualize this power, and we both express it and experience it, process it, let it show up in our life in the manner in which we use it. And we use it through our thoughts and our beliefs and our actions and our reactions and interactions with the thing itself, life. And so the way that we practice that then is by tending to our mind, to our thoughts, our actions, our reactions, and interactions with life itself, with the understanding and acceptance that we live in a universe that is governed by spiritual law. Just like we live in a universe that is governed by physical law, that gravity works whether we want it to or not, even though in this moment I'm sure we're all deeply appreciative that it's working to keep our tushies in the chair as we stay on Mother Earth. But that's the same in the sense of the spiritual laws, that the spiritual law of cause and effect, the spiritual law of attraction, the spiritual law of reciprocity, many of whom are known, the laws with different both terms and meanings, but it's all congealed and concise down to one law, and that's the law of life. And that which we put out into the universe comes back to us as a result of the way that the life itself works. And so then we as a community come together to support our vision statement, which is supporting individuals finding their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And so today, as we come together as a community energetically, we do indeed support not only the vision for ourselves, but all who we come in contact with, that they find their personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. And because we live in this universe that reflects back to us the very thing that we put out, then we all benefit from us finding that empowerment and becoming more and more spiritually awakened. So today in this service, I invite you to sit back and relax and allow yourself to become more spiritually awakened, trusting that words that are expressed by means of me or songs that are sung by James this morning are just simply things that you hear. Provide you with an opportunity to move into that resonance field of the oneness of life itself. And in so doing, allow yourself to become more spiritually awakened to who you are as a divine being. And in so doing, provide an opportunity for personal self-empowerment. We begin our service each and every Sunday morning with what is called a ritual. The ritual is called calling in the light. And so this morning, as we begin our ritual of calling in the light, I invite you to look at the candles that are illumined on the screen and or light one in your own mind as we move into the ritual. Today, we celebrate this ritual of calling in the light. And I invite each of us to become more aware that we are here to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering a conscious awareness of our oneness and a remembrance that the light of the divine exists in and as all sentient beings. Light is the quality of the divine that we focus on this morning. And I shall use an acronym for the quality of light to remind us who we are and to give space in our mind and our heart to become more attuned to our spiritual nature, beginning with the letter L. Dr. Ernest Holmes defines light as, in flashes of illuminations, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they have seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with the flood of light. Moving to the letter I, which stands for illumination. In the book, The Science of Mind, it's referenced as inspiration, reaching a cosmic state and a direct contact with the divine. Moving to the letter G, which stands for God. God, not some entity in the sky sitting in a chair passing judgment, but this as defined and acknowledged at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. Synonyms for God are love, wisdom, intelligence, source, the first cause, the principle which is dependable, and the absolute. H in the letter light, in the word light, stands for healing. In metaphysical terms, healing is a mental activity which means mind healing. And to heal means to reveal wholeness. The fifth candle, or the candle that we use for the fifth letter, T, stands for truth, which is defined as this: that which is. It is the reason, the cause, and power in and through everything. It is birthless, deathless, changeless, and is perfection and wholeness. Looking at the light on the screen, we now look at this light and refer to these candles as the healing candle. And I ask you to take a moment and think of anyone that you would like to put into the healing light, which shall include yourself and all the children of the world and all who have been affected during this pandemic, so that all of life may experience the eternal and everlasting love of the divine. And so we now move to the song in our ritual of calling in the light. And James will guide us through that, and lyrics will be on the screen.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. Repeat repeat after me at home if you feel led. I am love, I am peace in my heart, I am free, I am spirit, I am soul, all together we are whole. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
And so it is. And so in this moment, let's know together that as we've called in the light of life, we allow ourselves to align with this resonance field, and in so doing, become consciously awake and alert to the power that resides within, and then use it in a way to make a difference not only in our own lives, but the life of all of humanity, step by step, thought by thought, action by action. All is well, as we say together, and so it is. Thank you all. We've already had the wonderful pleasure to hear James sing 2 songs with us this morning, and he has a 3rd song to share with us that I think will continue to guide us and lead us into this space of spiritual awakening. And so it's my honor, as always, to introduce you to my soul brother, James Harper.
Hello, hello. So I don't know about y'all, but every once in a while I need kind of a pick-me-up. And this song to me is just a really encouraging word about no matter how hard life gets, no matter how many trials and tests that we run into, it always seems to pull back towards good. I hate to see you cry, lying there in that position. There's things you need to hear, so turn off your tears and listen. Pain throws your heart to the ground, but love turns the whole thing around. No, it won't all go the way it should. I know the heart of life is good. You know it's nothing new. Bad news never had good timing. Then the circle of your friends will defend the silver lining. Pain throws your heart to the ground. Love turns the whole thing around. Though it won't all go the way it should, I know the heart of life is good. turns the whole thing around. No, it won't all go the way it should. I know the heart of life is good. I know it won't all go the way it should, but I know the heart of life is good.
How fantastic. And you're right, James, that song and the lyrics do indeed speak to us in just becoming more and more aware of who we are and awake to this journey of life and light. Absolutely. Turned my camera on by mistake. You didn't notice it, but sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your song in that moment. So quite wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll see you in a moment after my message. So, everyone, we continue this morning with our theme of living in the light. And so I am going to share my screen. I'm sorry, I'm trying to manage everything, and people are chatting me and texting me from the service at the same time. So let's get started for the theme for the month of December as we continue with living in the light. Last week, I spoke of light as an energy field, as an energy source, remembering that the energy of light itself comes from the very combustible Big Bang, the spark of creation itself. And we were informed that this light of life that exists within each and every one of us, that is also a quality of the divine that we are imbued with individually and collectively as life itself, is part of the DNA, the cosmic DNA of life itself, and that too exists within you and exists within me. And so this morning we're going to continue on this journey of awakening to living in the light. And so here we go. Move this piece right here. Sorry, I'm going to have to stop for just 1 second and move something. Just got to move something. All right, there we go. All right. So, what does light represent spiritually? Well, light is one of the most universal and fundamental symbols that is. It is the spiritual and it is the divine. It is illumination and it is intelligence. Light is the source of goodness and the ultimate reality, and it accompanies transcendence into the nirvana of Buddhist doctrine. Now, that's just a quote that I have, but I want us to take a moment and realize that nirvana is the highest consciousness that there is in Buddha doctrine. Light is the source of goodness and the ultimate reality, as I spoke of. It is that energy that comes from within the cosmic DNA of the creation of life itself. And it accompanies, in other words, it's with us on this alignment into transcendence, into the highest consciousness of life itself, into our alignment of our divine nature. And so what does it mean when someone says, you are light? Well, it may mean, in simple terms, to give of yourself in a new way to a situation, or give of yourself in a new way to a cause that you focus on in life, or to give of yourself in a new way in a relationship that you're in. It may also mean to simply just be still and show that nothing really needs to be said at a given time until the time is right. In other words, what it's telling us here is that when someone tells you that you are the light and you're emanating the light of the divine, it means that it's okay to just sit with that and trust that intuitive nature that exists within each and every one of us to guide us to the next step of engaging in life itself and whatever situation that we're in. To be the light is to foster peace and to show others the joy that is present no matter what is going on. As referenced earlier in our ritual, in the book The Science of Mind, light is defined as this way. In flashes of illumination, the inspired have seen into the very center of reality and have brought back with them a distinct impression of what they've seen and felt. A glimpse of this reality illumines the whole being with a flood of light. Every mystic has had this experience. I'd like to share with you this morning an experience of that, not necessarily for myself, even though I will do that in a moment, but of Dr. Ernest Holmes, the founder of the teaching of the Science of Mind. In an article titled Ernest Holmes' Cosmic Consciousness Experience, this is addressed. One of the most famous moments of all of religious science happened at the dedication of a new church in Whittier, California, where Ernest Holmes delivered one of the most well-known talks. Now, luckily for all of us, this talk can be found if one would like to go to the Science of Mind archives, because it was recorded and placed on an early stenographic device called the Gray Autograph. This experience has been conveyed by George Bindall, who edited and assembled one of Ernest's unpublished talks and papers titled Holmes Papers, The Anatomy of Healing Prayer, which talks about Bindall, who accompanied Holmes that night to that event, and the conversation that ensued after that, after he was chauffeuring Holmes back to his home, and sitting up with him all night talking about the cosmic experience of cosmic consciousness, of this illumination that's referenced here, that took place for Ernest. Now, I'd like to share with you how that quote of that conversation, as Ernest had been on stage sharing this dedication to this new church. As they're sitting in conversation, Ernest settled into his favorite brown leather chair, thinking quietly and having this conversation. At last, he admitted to George that he had experienced the highest degree of illumination he had ever known. He said this: "While I was talking, I had the semblance of everything turning into a sort of shimmering light, and I imagined myself, or maybe I was, as though severed from my body, looking down at myself, talking and feeling this thin. I actually had the feeling that I was part of the stars, that I was part of everything, that I was part of the whole movement, the push and pull of the universe, but with a greater sense of self-awareness," Ernest told him. "I thought I had had cosmic conscious experiences long before, but now I know this truly is what it is." There was a complete total in recognition, he went on to say. There is no death, nothing but eternal life, no sense of any mistake in the past, only an instantaneous recognition of his experience and expression as an individual. Cosmic consciousness is what is being addressed here. Now, certainly this experience that Ernest references sets the bar really high for stepping into that illumination, that sense of no separation whatsoever. But you and I have the opportunity to continue on our journey of finding our personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, to seek to have a sense of cosmic consciousness, of oneness, of enlightenment, which may or may not be the same experience as Ernest. But all that is being called for between you and I is to tap into a greater awareness of who we know as ourselves to be as a divine being. In this teaching, so often we hear, "I am perfect, whole, and complete." I believe that opening our mind in a way to align ourselves with that spiritual truth is the first step towards moving into a greater awakening of our divine nature, of leading us towards what the Buddhas call nirvana, which is also known as enlightenment and or cosmic consciousness. So this morning, I'd like for us to look at that and break it down in terms so that we can understand it. You and I are perfect, whole, and complete just as we are. Louise Hay tells us this in her quote regarding that: "In the infinity of life where I am, all is perfect, whole, and complete." And she goes on in that quote to say, "And so am I, and so are you." Let's hear that anew in the infinity of life where I am. In other words, where you are right now, all is perfect, whole, and complete. Now, you might be thinking, the hell it is. Look at what's going on in my life. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at what's going on in the news. Look at what's going on with my health, my finances, my romance, my life, the circumstances, the conditions. But that is not what's being spoken of in this moment. What's being spoken of in this quote, in this concept of perfection, wholeness, and completeness is that which is transcendent of the experiences in life. It is that which we are one with, which gives cause to those experiences. It is that place that exists within us that is pure, that exists whether or not we recognize it, as Ernest did in his moment of awakening or enlightening. It's there no matter what, because it's intrinsically who we are. It's where the qualities of life, of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom exist. But also because we have the opportunity to use our minds and our thoughts and our actions in a way to nurture our divine nature. That's the way that we're going to create opportunities to have them then show up and experience in life, i.e., revealing our divine nature in our human experience. Well, perfection. Let's start with that. What is perfection? Well, the definition of it in this context is the real state of being, complete, so that nothing is wanting. Now imagine being so clear of your nature in life, always, or the majority of the time, where that nothing in your life are you wanting for. That place exists already within us. It's the real state of being, which then moves us to our wholeness. So what is our wholeness? As Ernest tells us that when we speak of the whole, we're speaking of God, that three-letter word that you either love or not. The divine, another word for it, or source, that place where creation took place in life itself. Another way to look at this is through this part of the definition. The wholeness of life is man's, human, that's male, female, everything in between and beyond. The human self-knowing and their perception of reality. In other words, to the degree that we become conscious of our consciousness, of our source, that is to the degree that we line up with and reveal our humanity. Our divinity through our humanity. Perfection, wholeness, and completeness. Well, what is the completeness? Dr. David Hawkins, the great metaphysician, addresses it this way. Complete is anything could stop at any moment and be complete. In other words, there is nothing, no thing that is required of you and me to accomplish or reveal or manifest or demonstrate or co-create in life that would complete us as an expression of life from a divine perspective. And because we are divine beings having human experiences while being human beings expressing our divinity, we certainly have the opportunity to then approach every experience and opportunity in life from the state of awareness and acceptance that we already are as complete as we'll ever be. I.e., as Dr. David Walker used to say, we're as spiritual as we ever could want to be. We're as holy as we could ever want to be. Now, that is a radical, if you will, approach to living life, but one that certainly garners us opportunities and possibilities in life to then make the external, the conditions, the circumstances better in life as a result of how we tend to what exists within us already. In other words, how we choose to use our light. But it may not always be easy. Many of us hear the call of our inner desires and dreams in life, and sometimes it's often difficult to find that path forward to our own awakening. Well, what are we called to do? I think it's important for us to learn to explore deeply. Learning to explore deeply is the key to opening to the ultimate possibility of your life. Your internal awakening opens the door to a truly unimaginable possibility, that spiritual awakening that we continue to speak of. When one learns to explore deeply and commits to that journey, in whatever pace, in whatever manner, in whatever vein or avenue that you choose, your true power and gifts begin to reveal themselves, and then the meaning in and of life is revealed. What we're being called to do, no matter what, is to live in the light, to live in and as the light itself. I love this brief little poem from the poet Atticus that says to us, there is nothing so brave in the whole wide world as a candle daring to live on in the wind. Take a moment and see yourself as that candle. Obviously, we know what a candle looks like. We just got to see them on the screen and calling in the light. But if you're here in Los Angeles, you felt the winds last night. Imagine standing out in those winds as an illuminated candle. That's what Atticus is speaking of here. There's nothing so brave in the whole wide world as a candle daring to live on in the wind. In other words, to stand up, stand out, and express your divine nature in conditions that seem to be contrary to that, that seem to come at you so that your divinity is compromised. But yet, that place within us where our divinity exists cannot be compromised. And you know that, and I know that. And so today I invite you to lean into a time in life where you had these moments of illumination, where you had a personal light bulb moment of knowing, yeah, this is my truth. This is my truth. I can tell you for me personally, I've had many of those personal light bulb moments. One of them was indeed much like Ernest. I was a newly licensed practitioner, maybe even in ministerial school. No, it was pre-ministerial school with Dr. Walker at the Wilshire Theater on Wilshire Boulevard. And was doing the pre-service treatment. And in the middle of that, some energy took over and the human of Keith kind of left my body and the energy around me became a light. And I continued the treatment. And when I finished, I went to walk off the stage, and Dr. Walker met me in the back and grabbed me by the shoulders. And those of you that remember Dr. David Walker, he was a big man of presence and certainly an even bigger man of energy. And he reached down and grabbed me by the shoulders and looked into my eyes. He said to me, "Do you know what just happened to you on that stage?" And I stood there for a second, and he asked me again, "Do you know?" And I took a deep breath and said to him, "Yes, I do know what happened to me." And in that moment, I was more speaking of, I knew of the experience that I had had in that moment, but I didn't know how to put words to what it meant. I've learned now that what was happening to me was an alignment in the purest of ways to my divine nature. I've been so blessed in my life to have many other moments and experiences equal to that, if not greater. One has taken place on a safari in Africa, but another was during my time in Malawi when we were building schools, and I placed this painting over my left shoulder here of these three Malawian women. I don't know if you can all see it, but as a reminder to me of the many times that I spent on the grounds in that beautiful country, as we were building school after school and providing safe spaces for education for so many children and as well as adults there. And there was moment after moment of when I would be in the presence of the energy of these individuals, these children and these adults. And when I would choose to just let go of my need to attempt to control the situation or try to control the outcome. And in so doing, there would be these moments of opening up where the light of life would move through me in a way that I knew I was lined up in that spiritual awakening, that cosmic consciousness, that deep awareness of oneness. And so I share that with you today because I know that you too have had those moments in life. And I invite you, as I encourage me and you as well, to not let those moments be the ceiling of expectation in our life, but to let them now be the floor from how we choose to grow and invite more moments in life. What we're seeking to express really is an awakening from the illusion of separation, that which is known as oneness. It's cosmic consciousness. It's that knowing and knowing that we knowing, but feeling and experiencing it as we look out into the heavens, if you will, into the night sky and see the furthest star that we can see and know and feel in our bones and our cells. That the very thing that is causing light there is the very same thing that is giving us the opportunity to see that light, to feel that light, and then to know that we are one with it. In modern day, current day terminology, we call that a spiritual awakening. It's what is required of each of us on this journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. It's what's required for each of us as we're choosing to become a conscious evolutionist, to be an evolving consciousness to a higher framework of mind, a higher vibrational frequency, a higher state of consciousness. But it's also important to know that we don't have to manufacture this. As the great Persian poet, 12th century, Rumi, told us, is that what you seek is seeking you. In other words, for you and I to have this greater experience in life, it can only happen if we choose to express it and to trust and to know that every single thing that we desire to experience and express already exists in and as the mind of the divine. Our responsibility is to get quiet, as we were told earlier, to sit still as the light of the divine, and then to get clear on the very thing that we desire to express and to manifest, if you will, to know, to be, and then to know that the very thing that we're seeking to be is already seeking us. And it's important to remember to let go of any struggle or strain. As the song says, I release and I let go and I let spirit run my life, the great Ricky Byers song. But we're also told this of what to do relative to this quote from Eckhart Tolle, who says to us here in this quote, you cannot fight against the ego and win. Excuse me, just as you cannot fight against darkness. The light of consciousness is all that is necessary. And to remember that you are that light. Take a moment and let that sink in. That the light of consciousness is all that is necessary on this journey of enlightenment, and that you are that light. That you are that light. And it's our responsibility to keep that connection that we have to our divinity consciously awake and alert. Dr. Deepak Chopra tells us this. It's important to keep the connection alive to light and awareness. He says all problems in life are typically a result of a lack of self-awareness. Just as the problems of stumbling around in a dark room come from a lack of light, our problem-solving focus has to be about bringing in the light, not trying to conquer the darkness. Light can mean many things to many people, but whether you think of the light or reason, the light of love, or the divine light, the common denominator is awareness. To be in the light, to gain the gift of the light, you must be consciously aware that it is happening. Bringing the light to either yourself or others begins with the intention to allow the light in. You take an attitude of openness, saying inside, here I am. He goes on to tell us it doesn't matter who you address these words to. It can be God, the higher self, your soul, or spirit. It's the willingness to let your consciousness expand that counts. And even a single moment where light enters is a chance for your true self to come to the surface of your life. And then the second step. The second step is to recognize when such an experience is occurring. As awareness expands, old familial external situations change from the inside because life contains infinite experiences. It is not possible to lay down a single pattern that applies to everyone. In other words, we have different experiences. But in terms of relationship, the experience of light is actually something all of us have experienced at one time or another. Closeness, warmth, security, peace, loving kindness, a sense of being cherished, and a certain knowledge that we belong. So we can say to create a heart to heart connection is really all about experiencing the light towards another person. It is being in the light together. Then heart speaks to heart without effort, fear, or distance. We simply radiate outwards what we actually already are inside, a true self that is no longer closed off, insecure, and conflicted. The light of awareness makes it all possible. The light of awareness makes it all possible. Today, I encourage each and every one of us to open to these experiences of light, of oneness, of spiritual awakening, of cosmic consciousness. But to know, as Ryan Jordan tells us in this quote on the screen, that the belief changes nothing. Living, being oneness changes everything. And so you and I have before us today an opportunity to choose to live more in this oneness, to live more spiritually awakened, to live more allowing the light of awareness in, and then to give it back out. Because that's our responsibility in life. And that is indeed the way life works. Remember, I spoke earlier of the law of reciprocity. We're always attracting back into our world that is reciprocal to our state of mind. And so what step can I, meaning each and every one of us, make today to live in oneness? Well, the first step can simply be this: to know that the truth is that the only power there is and is contained within the moment. It's the power of your presence. Most humans are never fully present in the now because consciously they believe that the next moment must be more important than this one. But then you miss your whole life, which is never not now. And that's a revelation for some people, is to realize that your life is only ever now. The great Eckhart Tolle is telling us for you and I to live in those moments whereby we experience, as a result of what we're expressing, cosmic consciousness or oneness or spiritual awakening. We must live in the now. It can't happen any other time. Having had the experiences myself and knowing that you have as well, it only happens in the now. For that's the power of our presence. And so today we're given the opportunity to use this power in a new way. To know that today is the day. Today is the day that you and I have been given to awaken to a new understanding, to new experience, to a new opportunity to not only call in the light, but then to let that light shine forth from us. And to remember that the calling in of the light isn't bringing it in. It's simply moving everything out of the way already within you that is preventing it from showing up, and your awareness that it's there. Today is the day that we have to do that. And so let's you and I commit to this, to trust the timing of our life, to stay patient, stay calm, stay determined, stay focused, and most of all, trust our journey of our spiritual awakening. And in so doing, we will become more personally self-empowered. And let's remember, now is the only moment we have. And so it is. Namaste. Thank you. And so the moment that we get to experience now is To Feel All Right by a song that James Harper is going to sing with us. And feel free to sing along in the privacy of your own home. Ladies and gentlemen, I give to you James Harper.
Agreed. That is strongly, strongly encouraged. Please sing along, jam out. Let's go. Seems I got to have a change of scene. 'Cause every night I have a strangest dream. Imprisoned by the way, could have been left here on my own, or so it seems. I got to leave before I start to scream. But someone's locked the door and took the key. Feeling alright, not feeling too good myself. Oh, yeah. Feeling alright. Not feeling too good myself. Oh, yeah. Boy, you sure took me for one big ride. Even now I sit and wonder why. And when I think of you, I start to cry. I just can't waste my time, I must keep trying. Got to stop believing in all your lies. 'Cause I got so much to do before I die. I'm feeling alright, yeah. Not feeling too good myself, no, yeah. Feeling alright, I'm not feeling too good myself, no. Feeling alright, feeling alright, feeling alright. I'm not feeling too good myself, yeah. Feeling alright, not feeling too good myself, yeah. Feeling alright, 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 yeah. Hey.
Fantastic. You got us feeling all right. And
Glad to
I
hear.
love the way you banging on that guitar, baby. You are
Y'all know
setting it free.
my favorite way.
I love it. I love it. It is most beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for
As I
having me.
said earlier, it's always such a joy to have you here with us, and you bring such joy. And as acknowledged through the chat, you know our community just loves you. So thank you for
Always a
being here.
joy to be here. Appreciate you.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. And so now is the time to support our community through conscious giving. It's a time that we each have as an opportunity to participate in the flow of the good of the universe. And I want to acknowledge to each and every one of you how much, as a community, we appreciate your support financially. And we appreciate you staying in the flow of life and remembering that we as a community thrive and survive on the income that comes in from donors, whether that's through a Sunday donor or a lifetime giving or whatever the case may be. It's all deeply appreciated and acknowledged and supports us in making a difference in our world. And so thank you for that. The opportunities to do that is as shown on the screen. You can go to our website where you can get all kinds of information, but that specifically for conscious giving, you can go to our website of csl-la.org and click on donate. You can go to the app, also a great resource for information from us, called the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles. Click on the upper left bars and the screen will come up and it'll give you the donate tab. Or you can mail in a check. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue in West Hollywood, California, 90038. And if you feel more comfortable, you can call me. My number's on the screen at 310-963-1653. And so, once again, thank you in advance. James will take us through our conscious giving song this morning while we all take a moment and support our community financially. James?
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give of my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. Once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision, right here, right now.
And so I affirm for each of us that as we consciously participate in giving of the good to the universe, we understand that one cannot give with a clenched fist. And so as we extend our hand, both literally and metaphorically, we step into the flow of good of life and a higher vibrational frequency. And so we give with love, letting that be our decision. Love as the self-givingness of spirit, whose desire is to create more of itself out of itself. And the only way that it can do that is through you and through me. And that indeed is what has transpired today. We let it be as we say together, and so it is. Thank you, James. Thank you for singing that song and for all of the wonderful music that you've brought to us today. Please know that it's deeply, deeply appreciated. Also, a big thank you to each and every one of you who have joined us today, whether it's through Facebook and or Zoom or at a later date on our YouTube channel. Know that you're celebrated and honored and appreciated, not only just at this time of year, but all during the year. Also, a huge thank you to Travis Smith, who is our audio technician, who stays in the background. You guys rarely get to see him, but works diligently not only during the service itself, but in our rehearsals and leading up to that to make sure that we can provide to you the best technical audio for our service possible. As well as to a huge thank you to Robert Hensley, who is both my administrative assistant as well as also a technical support for us through our streaming services as well as our social media work. Thank you to Robert. I'm very excited to remind you of our holiday concert that is coming up this Friday evening from 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time. That information can be found on our website, as well as it can be. I'm going to share on the screen with you who is in that concert. If you'll give me just 1 second. I just remembered I created that for us. And so you'll see that our concert on Friday night will include not only our musical director, Yaron Spiewak, but it'll feature Arne Batson, Diedrich Bonner, Leah Ziegler, and Ira Gonzalez, our one and only beloved James Harper that we have today, Melissa Lewis, and Omer Shais. You can join with us through Facebook Live and or Zoom. You can find that link at our website, and or we're sending out announcements 3 times next week to remind you of that. Please make a point to avail yourself of this beloved concert that we're providing to our community, as well as invite your friends. It should be a wonderful opportunity to hear some great holiday music. Our artists may even share a couple of original songs of their own, but it's an opportunity for us to come together as a community on Friday evening and just simply relax and feel the community that we normally would feel if we were able to join in person. So this will be our holiday celebration. I look forward to all of you joining us and us having a wonderful time filled with love. Grab yourself some cider or whiskey or water or tea and just come and sit back and just revel in the good that's being shared by these individuals and us as a community. Next Sunday, I continue my conversations with Dr. Keith, that's what they're called. Next Sunday will be Dr. David Alt. I know that it would be our Christmas Eve service, even though we're not having a traditional Christmas Eve service. But this will be a wonderful conversation as well as our holiday Sunday service. With the one and only Dr. David Alt, who is just a change maker in the world today. Many of you have had the opportunity to experience him in person, lives in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm really excited about this conversation, as have all of the ones we've had been quite wonderful. Also, I'd like to take a moment and invite you that if you're consciously thinking of places for donations at your year-end giving, to keep in mind our beloved community, the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. I'd like to remind you that our weekly e-newsletter goes out on early part of each week. If you'd like to receive that and you are not receiving it, you can get that information from our website and sign up. Once again, that's csl-la.org, as well as you can follow us through the social media sites of Instagram, CSL-LA, and or Facebook, and on our YouTube channel. Please avail yourself of those wonderful tools, and also support us and click like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We're really working diligently in this unique time in life to build and maintain and expand our social media site. So thank you. There we go. So I wish you all a very wonderful holiday season. We're going to close with a meditation. At the end of this meditation, we will let go of, we will, I don't know what's the right word. Basically, we'll disconnect from Facebook, even though we're never disconnecting from your heart. But know that you're loved and acknowledged and celebrated. And then those that are still on Zoom, we will stay on for a moment and say a brief hello to everyone. With that said, let's close in meditation. So settling into that place where the law of gravity is working for us. I invite you to close your eyes if that feels good to you. As we inhale together through our nose to the count of three, then exhaling out through our mouth to the count of three. Ready? Inhale, 1, 2, and 3, holding and centering ourselves as we exhale out through our mouth. 1, 2, and 3. Repeating as we go deeper, inhaling 1, 2, and 3. Exhaling out through our mouth. 1, 2, 3. And so as we began this service of calling in the light, we shall end today as well. And as we hear these words, we align ourselves with their spiritual truth. I am love. I am peace. In my heart, I am free. I am spirit. I am soul. All together, we are whole. And so we see the light of the divine anew right now. And allow it to rise up from deep within our soul and illuminate the pathway before us. And covenant and commit to ourselves to do everything possible in life to let our light shine, to live in oneness, and to let our divinity guide the way. Awakened is our nature on this journey. And for that, we are grateful. We inhale together again. 1, 2, 3. As we exhale, become more aware of what we've committed to. Exhaling 1, 2, and 3. Repeating this one more time of inhaling. 1, 2, 3. Holding. Exhaling. 1. Opening our eyes. 2, 3. Placing our hands together on our heart. Leaning forward. Saying together, Namaste. Amen. And so it is.